Now the Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Úmaro Sissoco Embaló, President of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau. I request protocol to escort His Excellency.
Mr. President, honorable heads of state and government, Mr. General Secretary, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to warmly congratulate Mr. Kasaba Korosi from Hungary for his election as the President of the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly. I would also like to congratulate the Secretary General Antonio Guterres for his commitment to world peace and Mr. Abdullah Sahid from the Maldives for the results that he achieved during his term. Mr. President, much has been said by the eminent speakers who were before me on this podium, which allows me to avoid certain repetition. The time has come for us to think of a global and lasting solution based on solidarity, sustainability, science, as the themes of this session calls us to do. Because the solution to many of our problems is in the joint reflection, global solidarity, and the pursuit of concerted and collective actions. The COVID-19 pandemic tragically reminded us that we live in a globalized world, that the lives of all human beings have equal value, that humanity is one, and that we have a common destiny. We must share scientific knowledge and ensure equitable access to vaccines. Mr. President, during the last 2 years, we were able to create greater political stability in our country, reaffirm our role in the African continent, and reclaim our place in the concert of nations. However, the international context does not favor the full implementation of our development plan, particularly in respect to the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. In Africa, we're also feeling the consequences of the war in Ukraine, whose impact is unfortunately broad, particularly in the energy and agricultural sectors. Inflation and increased prices of grains and other staples have considerably worsened a food situation that was already challenging. Guinea-Bissau is a coastal country with a great number of islands. We have dedicated much effort to mitigation and the adaptation. And we hope that COP27 will be a deciding step in defining and adopting concrete strategies to minimize the negative impacts of climate changes. Mr. President, allow me, as the chairman of the authority of the ECOWAS heads of state and government, to remind you that our sub-region faces great security challenges and that we need peace in order to ensure the development and well-being of our people, who are our primary wealth. The stability of a great part of our continent in general, and of West Africa in particular, is threatened by the insecurity caused by terrorism, violent extremism, and transnational crime, which violates the principles of the rule of law and democracy. ECOWAS created a political and legal framework and structural mechanisms to prevent and resolve political and institutional crises. However, the challenges continue to be numerous and difficult to overcome. We need international assistance to stop the advance of terrorism in West Africa and in the entire Sahel region. This is a threat to international peace and security, and in order to combat it effectively, we must involve the entire international community and the UN in particular. Mr. President, I was recently chosen to chair the African Leaders Malaria Alliance, ALMA. According to the WHO data, 96% of the malaria cases globally and 98% of the malaria deaths occur in Africa. Our continent has not achieved the establishment of the goals to reduce malaria and mortality by 40% by 2020. And this was a fundamental step in eliminating malaria in the African continent by 2030. Therefore, more than ever, we need to adopt appropriate measures to protect all, everywhere, from infectious diseases. I would like to take this opportunity to call on all countries, governments, donors, and development partners to contribute to the replenishment of the Global Fund. Together and in solidarity, we can end malaria once and for all and save millions of human lives. Mr. President, speaking of solidarity among states and peoples, we cannot forget to mention Cuba and the need for this American embargo against our fellow nation to be immediately lifted. In conclusion, I want to emphasize that Guinea-Bissau, despite being a small country with limited means, will not spare any efforts in order to contribute to maintaining peace, stability, and security on our planet. We are resolute in continuing to actively participate in the consolidation of multilateralism and the promotion of dialogue and cooperation among the nations and peoples of the world. Thank you very much.
On behalf of the Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Guinea-Bissau for the statement just made, and I request protocol to escort His Excellency. The Assembly will hear an address